We are back, and I'm your host, David, on investing in intellectual property. And we're back with another summary of the four pitches of season 15, episode 18. I want to know your guys' thoughts. So please get ready to kind of leave your thoughts in the comment section as to which of these four pitches, which one will be the most successful from a financial standpoint. And then number two, which pitch do you think, or which company do you think will be around over the next 10 or 15 years and have a bigger society or cultural impact? We're going to first start up with Nourish Blend, and I'll be giving you my thoughts as to each four of these, what I like about them, maybe what are some things that are a concern for me. And obviously, we'll go over the IP, intellectual property of each of those companies, since I am an IP attorney with almost 10 years of experience. So let's start off with Nourish Bloom and go from there.
Hi, Sharks. We're Jamie and Jalea, the husband and wife team behind Nourish and Bloom Market.
We're here today seeking a $400,000 investment for 5% equity in our company.
Man,
Sharks,
crazy.
It's no secret that fresh and healthy food is a necessity for all living things. But did you know that a shocking 1 in 8 Americans live in food deserts where fresh and healthy food is scarce? In urban areas, people may live over a mile away from any fresh produce. And in rural areas, that distance can stretch to more than 5 miles. But we're here to change that.
Introducing Nourish and Bloom Market. Sharks, we're on a mission to build micro markets like this in food deserts across America. These markets are going to provide 24/7 access to the freshest foods, not that processed junk food that you see in many convenience stores today. Our Nourish and Bloom markets can eradicate a food desert in just 3 months. Now that's a recipe for change.
Just check out what we're doing in our current flagship store. Thanks to our proprietary AI, customers can walk into our store using our app, start shopping, and then walk out. And Sharks, our game-changing technology slashes overhead costs and boosts margins, making our AI-enhanced micro markets a giant leap ahead of big box grocers.
And it's not just about food desert, Sharks. We're spicing things up on college campuses, offices, hotels, and airports too. Because who doesn't like eating healthy on the go?
So Sharks, who wants to take a bite out of food deserts and nourish and bloom the world?
So we're back. So, I mean, I think this one is interesting. I love the fact that first it's a husband and wife dynamic duo doing this business. And again, as I told you guys before, I'm starting to love these duos of husband and wife combination, and particularly these two, because they seem so passionate. Their why is big. It seems like their son had autism, and therefore, as a result of that, kind of inspired them to come up with this company. With also, being able to, I guess, solve this problem with a food desert, which wasn't a term that I was familiar with. So again, it seems like their why is big. It seems like they're very dedicated and going to be persistent. It's interesting because these are out of the four pitches of this week, this pitch was the only one to not get a deal. So I would imagine that that's even more motivation to them as they're going off into their journey. Now, some of the things that I do like about them is, again, the fact that they're husband and wife kind of going at this thing, and you would think that the husband and wife typically are on the same page, as opposed to two people who have maybe different overall interests and may at some point kind of get into a battle, which can hurt the business. Another thing, again, I talked about is their why, with their son having autism and kind of really him being a launch pin for them starting this business. Then the other thing is, I think they got some good advice on Shark Tank, which I think they probably should heed. I know Mark Cuban talked about, hey, when you guys are ready to kind of expand to Dallas, I'll get you guys connected with the right people. I thought that was big advice, and I thought that was very nice of him to do that. And I hope, it seems like the guy was ready to jump on that right now. So I hope that they take that advice sooner rather than later, or take that offer, that extension for help sooner rather than later, so that they can expand in Dallas and hopefully have success there. Another thing I think one of the Sharks was talking to him about is I think Kevin was saying it, where it's like, hey, you guys probably need to go to the government bodies of, again, it seems like their flagship stores in Georgia, but they also need to go to the governmental bodies in Georgia, as well as these other countries or states that they're trying to get in, to have the government help them along with this, man. Use the government as a resource. I thought that was huge advice from Kevin's standpoint, and I think that's something that they should take advantage of as well. So some of the things that I thought maybe was concerning for me as an investor or just as an attorney is something that Kevin brought up is, I think they have a lot of things to overcome as relate, not to overcome, but they have very small room for margin for error as far as, okay, you're dealing with food that expires, and then you're dealing with logistics of kind of transporting that food, and then you're dealing with number three, the technology of it, and that has to be on point, especially since you don't have many people at the store working. The whole point of, I guess, the proprietary software is being able to kind of scan yourself to get into this kind of market and kind of get your items, and then automatically charging your card, and then being able to leave and kind of doing that process over and over again throughout the day, throughout the year, throughout the course of time, without having a lot of human help or people on the payroll. And I think that takes a level of sophistication and a lot of things going right. So, man, you know, so I don't know. I think that's something that's going to be a challenge for them going forward, as Kevin pointed out. One of the things I do love that I didn't talk about earlier is the fact that they have their IP protected. Now, Nourish Bloom, we saw yesterday that they have a registered trademark on that. I love the fact that they do have the trademark. I would say one suggestion as an IP attorney to start putting that in an R in a circle when they're kind of advertising their name, just because it puts people on notice. Okay, these guys have a registered trademark and they have their IP protected. Now, they kept talking about proprietary software as it relates to kind of being able to have this space where it, you know, lets you in by the scan of your phone, and as you're taking items, it charges you automatically and kind of lets you out. I have saw that before at an airport, and I think it's best suited for those type of environments, airports and hotels, like they mentioned. Whatever you do, don't go to California and start putting them things in on street corners or beaches or whatever the case may be, because the way they're stealing you, they'll rob you blind in California, whether or not somebody's there or not. So I'm interested in knowing what part of their technology is proprietary. Again, when you think of proprietary, you think of new, you think of non-obvious, you think of protectable. And I would like to kind of get a little bit more in depth as far as that. Maybe once I have them on, or if I can have them on, I'll talk to them, ask them about that question. They really didn't go into it, into the details of it. And it seems like I said, just kind of a space, a storage space to have goods for you to purchase. It seems like, you know, you being able to scan into that space and then scan. Now, I've seen that before. Again, I'm not sure if it's them, but I've definitely seen that before. So again, just wanting to see what part of that is proprietary. But I mean, again, I think they definitely have their work cut out, but they seem to be up for the challenge. So we're gonna move on. First of all, let me know before we move on. Let me know your thoughts to Nourish Bloom. Do you think they'll be successful? What do you think their challenges are, and what do you think their advantages are? Please drop that in the comment section of this video. We are going to move on to Overplay. Let's hear kind of a brief synopsis or description of what they are all about, and then we'll come back and I will give you my thoughts. Let's go.
I'm Dan. I'm the inventor, co-founder, and CEO of Overplay.
And I'm Caroline. I'm the co-founder and COO of Overplay. We are seeking $500,000 in exchange for a 2.5% stake.
Hello.
Wow, exciting.
Wow.
Wow.
Sharks, the video game market is massive. But unlike photos, text, and video, there's no user-generated platform for casual games.
Games are just too difficult, too time-consuming, and too costly to make. Until now, Overplay is changing all this.
Nice.
Overplay allows anyone to make a video game out of their own personal video and share it with the world. You can make a game about anything, from mountain biking to makeup. You can make a game from a meme. You can make a game from your social media posts. You can make a game that's an advertisement, or you can make a game from a movie trailer.
Mark, you can even take a highlights reel from a Mavericks game and turn it into a playable video game. It's super easy to do. It takes just minutes. So Sharks, who's in with us in letting the whole world make their own video games?
Now, man, Overplay, I actually really like their concept. The fact that you're taking this video that's being created by the user, being created by me, being created by you, and then allowing the user through your proprietary software that you did say you have a patent on. So kudos to them. They are protecting their IP. But by allowing the user to gamify that video, and then you're sending it to friends and family and coworkers and things like that, which now they are a little bit more apt to play it, because it's kind of something that they're kind of tied into, that they know. I mean, I don't know. I think that's an ingenious thing to do. I really like that concept, and I think that can be a winner. Now, I think one of the sharks said it. I can't remember who it was. I think it's going to be an all or nothing thing with these guys. I think it's going to either hit home crazy, or it's going to be one of those things that people just don't get the people to buy into at mass for them to really be able to take advantage of it. The fact that I think they had like 2 million gameplays, I think 150,000 downloads. They're not monetizing it yet. It seems like they're going to monetize it either this upcoming year or next year. So they're not monetizing it yet, but it seems like they have a lot of activity, a lot of action with regard to the actual product, to the service, which is a good thing. Now it'd be interesting to see how and when, if they monetize, does it kind of really carry over? Do people actually pay for these game advertisements? That's to be something. And I think they got a right partner in Mark. I think his deal I thought was phenomenal, to be able to say, hey, I'm gonna give you the 500,000, but in return, I want you to pay me essentially it back and give me 4% equity. So he essentially got 4% equity for being a spokesperson for pushing that software. And I think this can be a $1 billion company easy. I think they're a little early in the process for me to tell either way whether or not they're going to be a winner or a loser. But I definitely love what they're doing. It seems like they have amazing experience as kind of two co-owners to be able to get the job done. So this is good. The Overplay, it doesn't seem like they had the trademark on the term Overplay, which I'll be interested as to why not. Seems like that maybe was available based on what we looked at when we broke down that video. Please go check out that particular breakdown of that video if you haven't already. I thought it was good. But what do you guys think about this? Do you think Overplay will make the most money out of these four? Do you think it'll have the bigger society impact later down the line? Let me know what you think in the comment section. I would love to hear your thoughts. Meanwhile, let's move on to Murder Mystery Company. Let's see what they're about a little bit, and then we'll come back and I'll let you know my thoughts.
Sharks, my name is Jarvis. I'm here to strike a deal on behalf of the Murder Mystery Company, the experts in mystery and sorry, the experts in mystery and oh bother.
Oh my goodness, there's been a murder! All right, let's try that again, but a few more gasps from the sharks. There's been a murder! That was much better. All right, now, very shortly, all of you will have the opportunity to solve this crime. But first, let's look at our suspects. We have the famous starlet, Lori LaRue. We, of course, have the mysterious Professor Blum. Oh. We have the made man, Don Cuban. We also have the famous hit woman, Barbara the Butcher. Oh. And of course, we have Mr. Wonderful. Beautiful. At this point in time, we need to decide who the real killer is. Everyone's going to point. 1, 2, 3, point. Yes, indeed, the killer is Mr. Wonderful.
I got
yes,
it. Lock him up. I got it. Lock him up.
Now, I thought Murder Mystery Company, which I just figured out here, that's a Michigan company. For those of you who don't know, I am in Michigan. This is my home state. So the fact that, actually, I'm from a small town called Muskegon, and if I'm not mistaken, they're from a town on the west side of Muskegon. So Muskegon is on the west side of the state of Michigan, right off of Lake Michigan. And it's a town, I think it's the second biggest city in Michigan, called Grand Rapids, Michigan. I think they're from Grand Rapids, which I did not know that when I was breaking down the interview. But after a little bit more research, I figured out they were in Grand Rapids. So kudos to them. I love to be able to shout out and big up another Michigan company. Again, hopefully I can have them on a podcast. But kind of going back to their pitch and some of the things that I like about them, some of the things that I think maybe is a cause for concern. The biggest thing that I like about them, and shout out to their deal, is I think they got a great partner. I forget the shark's name. He seems like he was a guest shark, but seems like he know his way around this space in terms of murder, mystery, horror, things like that. So I think he'll be a great partner. Another thing that I do like about it is the fact that, they've been around for 20 years. It seems like, I think he said they're are going to do maybe what, 7 million or 10 million or something like that this upcoming year. And of that, they're going to keep 2 million in profit. So the fact that they have stood to test the time is great for me. Or I mean, I love to see that. And the fact that they're making money, they're not after all that time still trying to become profitable. That's another thing. One of the things that I love is this is not, which is interesting because you can figure escape rooms. And I think corporations, they have their groups of people go to these escape rooms for team bonding and stuff like that. It's kind of more so for the everyday person, for families, for friends to kind of go there and kind of and deal with it. Whereas this, they can actually go to, and I think I was seeing on the website where they can do this thing virtually, which is crazy to think about, but they can actually go to these corporations where, man, $500 to what? I think he said 2,000. That's a drop in a bucket for these corporations, for team bonding, particularly to be able to go and take the team, take groups of the company through this immersive experience. I love that fact. That, man, again, they can do this year after year with all these different corporations, not to mention groups, families, parties, stuff like that. So I mean, I love that they have a niche, but I think their niche is big enough to the point where they can continue to be profitable and continue to grow. And like the owner said, he's kind of banging on the front door to get to these different groups and companies to be able to work with. Whereas, their partner, he's going to be able to kind of go strictly to the source based on his connection. So I think it was a good strategic partnership from that standpoint, and be able to really take advantage of working with companies and stuff like that. Now, one of the few things that I think they probably, it seemed like they didn't have a whole lot of IP. Like I told you guys yesterday, you can protect this, this kind of immersive experience, this system, this gaming system, if you will. You have to kind of show how this is new and non-obvious, but these type experiences can be protected if you go about it the right way. But also, it seems like the trademark, from what I saw, they actually filed a trademark, but they later abandoned it. And when somebody files a trademark, so there's two things that when you file a trademark, you will see it's either not registered because somebody canceled it or somebody abandoned it. When somebody canceled it, that means they had a trademark at some point, but they didn't pay the maintenance fees for whatever reason. They didn't pay the maintenance fees and they let it lapse. But it seems like theirs were abandoned, which makes me feel that, or makes me think that they got some art cited against them, which it was just going to be too tough to overcome. So they just abandoned the trademark. I think it was for Murder Mystery Company. So again, it seems like they abandoned it. And from my limited knowledge, I think that it wouldn't abandon it because of the fact that it was already something out there that was similar, that it was going to be a tough time for them to kind of get over that hurdle. So that's the only thing that I guess, again, as an IP attorney, I want people to protect their intellectual property, whether it's trademarks, whether it's copyrights, whether it's patents, whatever it is. I want you to protect your your intellectual property. And just from kind of the very small, again, they may have some other stuff patented from protected from a patent standpoint that they just didn't go through, but it didn't seem like they were kind of doing much protecting of their IP. And like I said, it's still kudos to him for being around for 20 years this long and surviving. You figure, what, 20 years? That's 2004. So you didn't survive 2008. You didn't survive the COVID years of 2020. So, man, it seems like it's a need for this. I would love for them to protect their IP and kind of take these things to the next level and maybe have a big exit at some point. So that's for the Murder Mystery Company. And again, kudos to them on their deal. Let me know what you guys think about them. Would you guys use this experience, use this for something that you do with a party, whether it's with work or with some friends? Let me know in the comment section. Let me know what you think is, am I right? Am I right in terms of the pros and the cons, the advantages and the disadvantages of Murder Mystery Company? Let me know your guys' thought, and we will go to the last summary or the last pitch, I should say, of Nowhere Bakery. Let's see what they are about quickly, and then we'll come back and I'll let you know my thoughts with regard to this pitch in this company. Let's go.
Hi, Sharks. My name is Safira, and this is my husband, Maurizio.
So I know what you're thinking. Wow, these entrepreneurs have incredible names. We also have an incredible business.
And we're here seeking $200,000 for 5% of our company.
See, Sharks, like most
Man,
couples,
that's
we
crazy.
have a lot in common, including our intense sweet tooth.
Luckily for Maurizio over here, his stomach is bulletproof. He could eat a razor blade and be totally fine. Me, on the other hand, my digestive system is, let's just say, less than optimal.
See, Safira here is allergic to air, wind, dust, and even loud words. So she'd be stuck eating desserts that taste like wet sandals.
Mauricio is mostly right. So I started whipping up my own desserts made from whole, plant-based ingredients that my sensitive system could tolerate and his more traditional taste buds could enjoy.
And that's when we quickly realized a dessert made with healthy ingredients that taste decadent was nowhere to be found.
Sharks allow us to take you where you've never been before.
Nowhere!
Nowhere Bakery is an allergen-friendly dessert company specializing in cookies and brownies made with better for you ingredients that are free from dairy, eggs, gluten, soy, refined sugar, sugar alcohols, and are paleo-friendly.
All right, Sharks, who's ready to fill our cookie jar and help take nowhere everywhere?
Now, yeah, we're back, and I love the dynamic duos of the husband and wife. I think you're more into it, into the business, into the company, into the success of things, as compared to like two partners who are maybe, I mean, obviously you would think you're close as a partner, but maybe not being aligned on a long-term vision as much as a husband and wife would be. So I love that fact, first and foremost. They got to deal with Barbara, which I think she's going to be a very good strategic partner. So kudos to them for that. I love that. I love the fact that they are protecting their name, Nowhere Bakery. Again, it seems like from what we saw when we kind of broke down or looked at the trademark database and see whether or not it was they are protecting it. Go check out that video if you want to see how we go in that in detail. It seems like they're protecting it. They have filed an application. However, it seems like it's still pending. So it's not registered yet, but they have taken steps to protect their intellectual property, particularly the trademark Nowhere Bakery. Some of the things that I thought were interesting, or maybe some cause for concern, is what Mark said: 300 calories for one of the cookies. And again, I love a healthier option. Just because it's healthier doesn't mean that it's like less calories. And someone who count their calories, that's something that I would be concerned with. I typically like to have a couple cookies, or if I'm having dessert, a couple cookies, just so that I can kind of really get off into it. But with 300, I can't do, figure 600. That's almost a third of your daily intake. I can't have that in cookies. So that's something that is interesting for me on whether or not I can maybe kind of get down with it. It seems like they're making money, which is a good thing. Now, hopefully, again, Barbara can kind of push them over the hump in terms of being even more profitable. I think even off of 700,000, they were only making 32,000 of that, which it's interesting to see why they're making so little. It seems like the overhead maybe would be lower than you thought. And it seems like their margins were good. I think they're paying $1 or something to make it. They're selling it for $5-6. So it seems like the margins were good. They weren't making as much money for whatever reason, even though they seemed like they're doing a lot of this stuff themselves. So hopefully Barbara can kind of get them over the hump with regard to that. But again, I still love what they're doing, man. The fact that they're taking a problem that they encountered and kind of taking it upon themselves to kind of do something about it and build a business. I love to see that day in and day out. Let me know what you guys think about Nowhere Bakery. Do you think there'll be a hit if you saw them out? Would you kind of buy some healthy dessert options? It seems like obviously that's a big thing. It seems like all the Sharks gave it the thumbs up in terms of the taste test, and it seems like the price is affordable and things like that. So we'll be able to see if they can kind of expand this and get this to a level where it's next level. So what you guys think? If I had to guess, I would say the company that is going to make the most money is Murder Mystery, just because they've been making money for the last 20 years. They're going to make, I think what he said, $7 million or $10 million this year. They're going to be profitable, $2 million. So they're making money. Overplay, they still haven't, even though they have a lot of activity, a lot of action, they still haven't monetized the gameplay or their service, their product. So it'll be interesting to see. It's almost, like I said, it's going to be a hit or miss thing. It seems like Nourish Bloom is still trying to, again, find out the right solution. And the fact that they didn't have maybe get a deal with one of the Sharks, I think it's going to take them a little longer if they are able to be successful in terms of what they're doing. And I think the bakery, again, they're making money, just not as much. So if I said who's going to make the most money, man, I just think Murder Mystery Company is going to kill it. Who's going to be around the longest? I think this is another interesting question. I think Murder Mystery, the fact that they've been around for 20 years, that's lets me know that, hey, they've been able to withstand distressed times in the economy, 2008, COVID of 2020, the fact that they were to make it out of those years, and the fact they got, I think, a great partnership deal that's going to take them to the next level. I think they're going to be around forever. And a lot of times, man, when you go see to like these haunted houses, or you go to these different family-owned like game companies or horror, things, these, man, a lot of times these places have been around for a long time, 50 years, 60 years. It's not like, okay, you see a lot of them that they just became successful. A lot of times these things have been around for 50, 60, 70 plus years. So I think they're going to be around for another 20 years, 30 years. And the fact that they're from Michigan, good stuff. So I thought that was different. The fact that who's going to make the most money and who's going to be around over the next 10 to 15 years and have a bigger society impact is the same company. I think Overplay is, I think this thing could be big, but I think it's going to be an all or nothing with them. I think Nourish Bloom have their work cut out for them, and I'm rooting for them. And I think they are inspired and going to be persistent to hopefully try to figure something out. And I do think Nowhere Bakery will be around. But I think in terms of the bigger impact going forward, definitely I think Murder Mystery Company will be someone to reckon with. Let me know what you guys think. Am I right in my analysis, or am I off? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I am trying to bring you guys valuable insight with every video, and particularly as it relates to the intellectual property, because I want you guys to have get these ideas out of your head and get them into real life application and protect them. You definitely have to protect them at the beginning, and hopefully I'm talking about you one day on Shark Tank. So hopefully you got something out of this video. Until next time, take care.